Okay. So today I wanted us to take off time and learn about one of the most important ingredients towards signing up people into the business, getting people to become our product users, or I could say getting customers into the business and getting into distributors into the business. So I wanted us to look at something or a skill that every successful distributor has been able to take off some time to acquire. And that is the skill, or what I would call the art of telling your story. The art of telling your story. All professional networkers have mastered the skill of telling their testimonies. They have learned the skill of telling other people's testimonies. Telling testimonies or telling your testimony is a very vital skill that can actually help you to have a great business. In fact, I would want to put it in simple terms that the stronger your testimony, the bigger the business that you are going to have, the more people you are going to attract onto your team. In fact, the most interesting bit about testimonies is normally your testimony is going to attract a specific kind of people. Like I remember when I was a distributor, when I was a student, my testimony was mainly on how, as a student, I've been able to succeed in the business. And because of that, I always inspired so many students to actually be able to join my team. That's why in the beginning, when I started, I had so many distributors on my team that were students because my testimony would easily attract students. So if you are a distributor on this call, if you are a growing leader on this call, you need to learn the art of sharing your personal testimony. You need to learn the art of sharing other people's testimonies. Because I just want you to actually imagine or think about this. After your first presentation, because I know each of us here joined the business because we actually attended a meeting and we listened to testimonies. We attended a presentation. After attending your first meeting, what inspired you to get started in the business? You will find, if you to think about it critically, you will find that when you attended your first presentation, you were inspired by a certain testimony that ended up getting you started into the business. If you are to recall clearly well, when you attended your first business presentation, the only thing that you could remember after the presentation, it wasn't the TNN, it wasn't the company history, it wasn't the company values and principles, it wasn't the history of the company, no. It wasn't the demonstrations, no. The only thing that you could remember after your first presentation, it was someone's testimony. So it is testimonies that inspire people to join the business. It is testimonies that inspire people to hang on and stay in the business. It is testimonies that help and influence and inspire other people to buy and use the products. It is not the science that you use to present about the product that makes someone buy. No. All that gets people to buy our products is when they hear that before using these products, I was suffering with ulcers. And after taking these products, my ulcers healed in a space of 2 weeks. And someone will ask, are you sure about that? And when you say yes, they will say, okay, let me also try it out. Testimonies. I used to be broke, but now I'm driving my second car out of this business. Those are the testimonies that inspire people to join. Learn how to tell your testimony. Learn how to use other people's testimonies, because that inspires people to join the business. Because every time you're sharing your testimony, someone is saying, wait a minute, if that person can do it, I can also do it. If that person can change their lives, I also want my life to change. If these products can help that person to heal from pressure, I also want my pressure to go. Testimonies, storytelling. All professional recruiters, all professional networkers know the art of telling stories, because stories inspire, stories influence, stories show proof that things work. Stories get people to start thinking that if I also join that business, if I also use those products, my life can also be able to change. So learn how to tell your story. Now, how do you tell your story? How do you tell your story? Now, your testimony should always be very short, but long enough to cover the subject. I've seen people who want to tell their testimonies for 30 minutes. That is a boring testimony. A testimony that inspires and influences people to get started onto the product, onto the business, should be short enough, very electrifying, very inspiring. In fact, a testimony is supposed to last between 3 minutes to 5 minutes. That is how long a testimony must be. 3 to 5 minutes. If you have really gone beyond and you've gone beyond, your testimony should last like 7, 8 minutes, but not 10, 15, 20 minutes. Your testimony should be short enough to cover the subject. It will be short enough, but long enough to cover the subject. 5 minutes. If you've gone beyond, 8 minutes. If you've really gone to the extreme, like us who have been around for a long time and have mastered the skill and art of telling their stories and have so many things to share, we can always go as long as 10 minutes, but we shouldn't exceed 10 minutes. So what are you supposed to cover in your testimony? Now let me divide it. You have 5 minutes to share your story. The first 1 minute is to identify yourself. My name is MUHUMUZA-UG. When I was getting started into this business, I was a student. So briefly identify yourself in the first 1 minute. Tell us who you are. Tell us your name. If you're married, tell us your marital status. If you have children, talk about them. Talk about your profession. In the first 1 minute, my name is MUHUMUZA-UG. I am married with 2 children, and this business got me when, okay, your ID is number 1 in the first minute, identify yourself. Then the second 1 minute, is you tell us where the business found you. Now, this is where people always get it wrong. I have listened to people's stories, senior manager stories. You see this business, I was invited. And I was invited to Lakeview. And then I came. Then I called the person who invited me. Then I waited and I sat and I waited. Then I sat in a meeting. No. Then I went, then I looked for the money. Then I started saying, and these people are fairy. No. All that is nonsense. Be straight to the point. This business found me when I was struggling financially. I was not well. Things were not okay. I had just lost my job. And then I decided to get started. You don't need to go so much into the past, because it is not the past that influences and motivates people to join the business. That's why number 1 is your ID, 1 minute. Number 2, where the business found you, 1 minute. This business found when I was a student, struggling financially. I'd actually just registered for a DDR. I didn't even have where to stay. I couldn't afford even paying rent. So that is how I got started. Don't tell us the story of how you walked, then and then you waited, and then you thought, and then you thought about it. No one is interested in that. It doesn't add any value to your story. Just tell us briefly, where did the business find you? And then number 3, the third minute, what did you do? How did you get started? What happened when you got started? Tell us, when I got started, I was advised to use the products, recommend the products, and attend trainings. And when I did that, my business started flourishing. In my first month, I took my first step. I made my first profits. 6 months down the road, I became a director. The company started paying me an average of 2 million shillings. In 1 year, I became a wealthy. My goodness, life extremely changed. I became a wealthy member, started earning an average of 4 million shillings. I have traveled, I have made money, I have invested. Guys, you need to get started into this business. Now, what happened when you join is the most inspiring part. And then that is what attracts people to join. So there it is, 2 minutes. The first 1 minute is your ID, identifying yourself. The second 1 minute is you tell us where the business found you, and keep it very short. And then the third step of telling your story is what happened when you got started. What are your benefits? What are your achievements? What have you so far achieved? What have you seen out of this business? That one, you take 2 minutes. And then number 4, which is almost the final step, tell us, how do you see your future? How do you see the future? So what happened when you got inspired people and say, okay, this is good. I think I also want those benefits. Then how do you see your future is also as equally as important as what have you so far achieved? Because someone would want to see with the proof that you have achieved something so that business works. But then where you are going, that is what inspires people and say, this person is headed in the right direction. Let me join him so that we can be headed in the same direction. In fact, when you're telling us, how do you see your future? That is even the time you always bring out your dream chart. I am working so hard. Oh, meet me in the next 10 years. Meet me in the next 5 years. I am going to be living in such a kind of a home. I am working to save money to buy my first car. I want my children to go to the best schools. I want to become an investor. Huh? I want to travel. In fact, there is a trip next year. That trip, I must be on the plane. And then lastly, bid for action. If I can do it, you can also do this. Join me, join us. Let's work together. So those are 5 minutes. The first 1 minute, you tell us, you identify yourself. Tell us who you are. Second minute, where did the business find you? The third step is you use 2 minutes to tell us your benefits out of the business. And then 1 minute, tell us how you see your future. And then in closing remark, tell us, bid for action. Ask them to join the business. Ask them to buy the product. Now, this format actually works for even when you're telling your product story. It's the same format. Identify yourself. Tell us before using these products, how were you feeling? After using the products, what were the benefits of using the products? And then, how do you see your future with these products? And then advise someone, use these products. So when you're sharing your story, focus on what works. Focus on what is going to get someone to join. Focus on what is going to make someone buy the product with the proof. It is always very important when you're sharing your story, share your story with the proof. Share your testimony with the evidence. Have a dream chart. Show us where you are headed. What you have so far achieved gives people confidence that the business works. But when you share your good goals, your dreams, your dream chart, where you see yourself in the next 2 to 5 years with this business, that is what inspires people to also join the business. So please, ladies and gentlemen, the next time you're given an opportunity to share your story, don't tell us, I was invited by someone, and then I called him, then I came, then I sat, then I listened, then I saw, then I thought about it, then I went, then I, no. That is unprofessionalism. That is, anyway, that's how we all start. That's how we all start. But then we keep on learning, we keep on improving, we keep on getting better and better and better. If you learn the art of telling your testimony, you learn the art of telling your story, oh, you will have people join your business. You will have people buy the products. So when you're telling someone's story, when you're telling your story or when you're telling other people's stories, just always remember that what inspires someone to join, what you have achieved gives them confidence. It is proof that the business works. But what inspires people to join, what inspires people to buy is where you see yourself in the next 2 to 5 years through this business. So have you wondered why the company always gives us lifestyle magazines once every 3 months? Because all those are tools that you can use when you're sharing your testimonies. In fact, whenever you are sharing your testimony, people don't just want to see words. No. It's not only words that get people started. People want proof. People want to see. That's why in most cases, like those who have visited me at office, I always have lifestyle magazines in my folder. I can never go to do a presentation without lifestyle magazines, photocopies of checks, Because why? Because I know that those are the things that inspire people. Normally, when I am when I am sharing my testimony, I always love to show the pictures of our dream home. Because I know that when people see these things, they'll be like, wow, wow, wow. If it can happen for him, I also want to achieve this. If it can work for him, it can also work for me. I also want to get out of debt. I also want my children to go to the best schools. I also want to own a dream home, to be in my dream home, There is not any time I have shared my testimony without sharing other people's testimonies. That is why, if I may show you here, let me show this briefly. Whenever I'm sharing my story, this is what I always want to actually show. My name is MUHUMUZA-UG, and I am married to Susan Tumahere, and together we have 2 children. This business found me when I was a student at Makerere University. Actually, that is me there, 2 years in business. So I was a student at Makerere University who had registered for a dead year because my parents didn't have money to keep me in school. And when I was given this invitation, attending a presentation, I loved everything that was being presented. I felt like if this business could be able to change these other people's lives, my life could also be able to change as well. So that's how I get started. And in my first month, I became a senior manager. My income in my first month was about 380,000. That gave me a lot of hope. That inspired me. It got me feeling that if I can get this, I can even earn much more money. And after all, I was seeing other people making more money. So I kept on doing the business, using the products, recommending the products. And while I was recommending the products, I was making profits. And then 6 months down the road, I became a director. And when I became a director, the company started paying me an average of 2.5 million shillings as a director. And I'm telling you, that inspired me a lot. It gave me hope that I could even go back to school and study. But then when I became a director, I also developed other 3 directors and became a world team member. And when I became a world team member in 1 year and 1 month, the company started paying me an average of 4.5 million shillings. I was a student, paying my own school fees, and I even bought my first car as a second-year student. And then later on, around 2010, September, we lost our dad. I'm a firstborn in a family of 8. And that's how I started paying school fees for all my brothers and sisters. Today, I have one of them is a doctor, another one is a pharmacist, another one is an engineer. All have started because of this amazing opportunity that we are sharing with you today. Now, when I became a world member, I also even started getting other bigger benefits. I started influencing and changing other people's lives. Look at him, that is Joseph Mujisha. Joseph Mujisha was struggling financially, but today the man lives in his own house in Mbarara. He has traveled here, we're in Mauritius. And this is Dennis Tomashabe, who was a senior sex worker. Today, he actually sleeps in his home in one of the best places, one of the best locations in Mbarara. You know, that is me there. So when I became a world team member, I started getting opportunities of traveling as well. This is here we were in Zanzibar. Here this is Zanzibar. Here we were in Mauritius. Mauritius again. And then here we were in Durban, South Africa. Here we were in Istanbul in Turkey. So it's a great opportunity that you make money and you also travel as well. And the other most important thing I've loved about this business is that this business helps us achieve our dreams. As we speak today, we are together with my wife, we are building our dream home. It is seated on 3 acres, 26 kilometers away from city center in Kampala. And all the money is actually coming from our Neolife business. We also have quite a number of investments. As you can see, those are projects that we are working on, all because of this what? This Neolife business. So this business has changed my life. And I also believe that if you take time, in fact, I pray that God helps you to understand this business. God helps you to feel like if this business can work for Justus, it can also work for me as well. It has changed my life. It can change your life as well. Join us. Let's work together. Let's see how we can be able to change your lives as well. So that is my testimony in brief. As you can see, I've covered all the 4 areas that I told you about. Where did the business find me? Then I've also talked about I've identified myself. That was number 1. Number 2, I've told you where the business found me. And then number 3, I have taken time to tell you about my benefits in the business. And then number 4, I have taken time to tell you where the business is taking us. In fact, for your information, in the month of May, this business is taking us to a place called the Palace of the Lost City in Sun City. Oh, how beautiful this place is. We shall send you pictures. But anyway, we need to work. So I've told you where the business is taking us. And then and then in closing, I asked you that if this business can change my life, it can also change your life as well. So ladies and gentlemen, learn how to tell your personal testimony. The more you learn how to tell your testimony, the bigger the business you're going to have. Learn how to tell your testimony. And even a new distributor who has not achieved a lot, you can still have an electrifying testimony. Because remember that what you have achieved is not what gets people join. It only gives them confidence. But what gets people join, it is where you are going. Where do you see yourself in the next 2 to 5 years? So keep your story very short, long enough, cover the subject. Focus on what people are going to remember. Focus on what is going to get people to join. So ladies and gentlemen, learn how to tell your story, learn how to tell other people's stories. And then when you learn that, now you start playing the game of numbers. The more people know your story, the bigger the business. If you shared your testimony with 100 people and someone else shares their testimony with 1,000 people, the one who has shared their testimony with 1,000 people is likely to have a bigger business than you who has shared your testimony with only 100 people. So the more people you speak to, the more numbers you are likely to have onto your team. So this weekend is a power-packed weekend. On Saturday, from exactly 10, we are at Fairway Hotel for the senior manager school. And I hope Alice, I see you on the call. I hope you got your invitation. You're supposed to be at Fairway Hotel to attend the prestigious senior manager school. It's not attended by anybody. In fact, even directors to attend, even world team members to attend, they must be qualified to attend. People don't just, you don't just say that I also want to attend. It is an invitation. Not every senior manager has been invited. It is only those that are qualified, those that are about to become director, that get invited to the senior manager school. The senior manager school is so powerful and so important that even the director of field development, Africa, is traveling from South Africa to come and attend. Then on Sunday, we're at Imperial Royal Hotel for a guest presentation. What an opportunity to invite as many people as possible. See you this weekend. Saturday, Fairway Hotel Senior Manager School. Sunday, 2 p.m. Imperial Royal Hotel. Invite as many guests as possible. Thank you.